Welcome to our fourth episode of Our Town. We're here today with Liz, and we're so excited to talk about collections and the museum's process in obtaining their collection and preserving it. So, why don't you just start off, Liz, by briefly telling us how you got involved with the museum?
How I got involved? Well, um, actually, Randy Morrison was going off the museum board many years ago, and there could have been a couple of others possibly going off, and he just asked me if I wanted to be a part of the museum board, and I said yes. There it is. It's a lifetime commitment.
That's what I heard. What is a collection?
Well, as defined by the Oxford Dictionary, a collection is an action or a process of collecting someone or something. It's an assembly of items such as works of pieces of writing or natural objects. It can be as simple as Auntie Grace's teaspoon collection or Little Joey's collection of comic books. Or it could be as huge and famous as the collection of art at the Louvre in Paris.
What is the process a museum goes through to acquire their collection?
Mainly, our museum has received our collections by donations from families that were from this community or surrounding communities. When we are asked if we would like a certain artifact, we take the information to the board members. But if there is a time constraint, then we leave it to the individual board members to use their discretion. We ask all of us to think of questions like, does this artifact have a connection or a relevance to our community or a family in our community? What is this? What is its story, and can we record it? Do we have one or more in our museum already? And then we take into consideration its condition and if it's a safety hazard to people or other artifacts.
How do you know when a collection is complete?
Hmm. That's kind of a conundrum. I will say it's always open to adding to a collection if it falls within your museum's mission or mandate. We're always open to adding to a collection. Um, if, like, say for example, I think an art collection, you could always be adding to it because you hear the stories on the news that, oh, they found a new um, piece by Monet or something that was in somebody's garage or whatever. So, then a museum will want to purchase it to add it to its collection. So yeah, for me, a collection is never closed.
So, you don't ever have a moment where you feel like that collection is complete?
Uh, I think for me personally, it would be, that looks great. That um, says what we've wanted it to say or portray. But I would always be open, to say, if somebody else walked in and said, hey, we found
Mhm.
this or we'd like to give
Right.
this to you. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe not everyone would have that
No,
same
no,
opinion.
no. And that's a good thing. Maybe I'm on the spectrum of hoarder. I don't know. Um, but I tend to, think that a collection is always open to be added to if needed. I think, like our collections here are great and look great and that, but yeah, I'm always open to adding to something.
So, remember that time you and another committee member scared away someone wanting to view the museum because you were
Mm,
having a passionate discussion about what should be
yes.
added?
Yes. Well, I think scared is too strong a word. We just made her uncomfortable. Um, but that is a perfect example of varying views. Uh, that's just the way it is, and that every member has a different take on. on what the collection should look like or be, or
And how is that important that everyone has those different views, and how does that add to the value of the small museums?
I think it's important for committee members to realize there's a value in various artifacts. One member would maybe see an old book that has a spine that's very worn and the pages turned down, and they're thinking, we don't need that stinky old book in our collection. But maybe I see it, and I look at it and I see the inscription on the inside, and it says, to Eve, love grandma, Merry Christmas, December 1956, or something. And this tells us that, you know, that this M, and if we maybe look at the history of that artifact, while it was donated by the family of Emily Smith, um, and then we know that she gave her granddaughter Eve a little copy of Little Women on at Christmas in 1956. So there's a story already. And then we could surmise by the worn spine or the worn pages that it's been read many, many times. And, you know, then we could look into it a little bit more, look into the Smith family, and we find out that, oh, Eve became a famous journalist. And we listened to an interview that she's maybe given to somebody, and she talks about how the book Little Women, given to her by her grandmother, inspired her to become, a
Right.
journalist. So, there's different, that one person looked at it and thought, that book doesn't have any value. It's old, it's torn, you know, and then the other person looks at it and says, oh, I think there's more to it than that. It's,
Right.
so, you know, everybody has a different way of looking at
Mm-hmm.
things, and I think that just helps balance,
Mm-hmm.
um, because maybe if it was left up to me and another uh, member, we might
Yeah.
accept way too many things,
Right.
or and so other committee members that say, whoa, now I don't think this has that much value or whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
like we need balance.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm the person that I'm like, keep all the books. Well, me and Catherine both are like book lovers, specifically old
Tay
books.
is too, yeah.
Oh
I
yeah.
was gonna say you cut me out of
I
that.
was gonna say
Yeah.
he's very much a book lover
Well,
too.
she's like mentioning Little Women, and I'm grasping my pearls. Like, I love a good book.
Yeah.
So, I personally am in awe of our book collection. Just in the schoolhouse, I could spend hours in there. Of our museum's collection, is there a smaller collection within that you're most proud of or in awe of?
I think there are two right away that I think of, and that's our military display. Um, I really like it, and I'm proud of it. In our little room there, it has a really nice. Um, when you look at it, you see what they may have slept in. You see some of their clothes. When you can look at the medals that we've been given and such, and I think it's very nice. Um, Nicely done collection of and displayed. Our display, the second one would be the wedding dresses. I don't know why. I just think it's done very nicely. Trudy did a great job. Trudy Pace. She's a volunteer that we have, and she did an amazing job.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
those are two that I really like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
do you feel those collections are complete? I just threw that one.
No, I mean, there again, uh, we've got a, we've got a, in the wedding collection, we've got this very, very old, I believe it's Hungarian wedding dress. It's beautiful. So, who's saying that somebody comes in and, has another wedding dress,
Mhm.
maybe even one that's, I mean, that one's very old, but you know,
Mhm.
yesterday is history in a way. So I
Yeah.
mean, we could add to, maybe more.
Right.
modern. Who knows?
Mhm.
Yeah. No, it's open as far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned.
So is there a collection that you'd like to enhance more at the museum?
Our volunteer fire department display,
Mm,
I'd like to see it um, go up bigger,
yeah.
or just add
Hmm.
to it.
Yeah.
I'm I'm sure there are items out there, artifacts out there that people have that we just haven't acquired yet, but
Hmm.
would be good to have
Yeah.
it because we had a um, chief that was with us for a very long time, and this is a volunteer
Right.
fire department, and yeah, so I'd like to see that one
Grow its
expanded.
size.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yes.
Is there something that you personally collect at home?
Dust and paper. uh, um, I have to say that I have kind of well, because of space, I have limited myself to basically no collections, but I used to have a lot of things that I collected when I lived in a larger home. I collected Schwann. Does you guys would not know the Schwann man? Oh, there was the Schwann man would come every couple of weeks, and his truck would pull up into the yard, big yellow refrigerated truck with Schwann's on the side, and he had the best ice cream ever. So they had a collection of tins that had vanilla ice cream in them, and they were Norman Rockwell paintings, replicas of it. And so I collected every one of those, and I had over 35 teapots at one time. But now I've limited myself. I pared everything down and kept a couple that meant so yeah, over the years, I loved having, and I displayed. I had mine out. I was always asked why do I have everything kind of out or whatever, and I said, well, because you look at that item, and oh, you know,
Yeah.
uh, it I think you uh, talked about that in another podcast how artifacts will elicit memories, and so yeah, yeah.
What is your best advice to help people at home know whether something is worth collecting or not?
Well, I always think a a collection's worth is always in the eyes of the collector. I think in many ways. Um, if you love a certain item, and who am I to tell you that it's worthless? If it brings you happiness to possess it, go for it. I think. Um, I don't know if it happens quite as much as it used to, but I know like I don't keep track of things or collect things as much as say my mother-in-law would have or
Mm,
whatever,
right.
like, and now like a lot of people think, oh, look at it, put it on your fridge or whatever, and then poof, because we do get a lot more things now because uh we're a society with a lot more income
Mhm.
available. So you could at Christmas time you can end up with 25 cards of people. So do
Right.
you want to keep them, or and some
Right.
people will, but others will say, had it on my fridge for 2 weeks during Christmas or whatever, and poof, into the garbage it
Right.
goes. You know,
Well, and that's like something we had an artifact come in, like the Centennial
right,
Itinerary,
right,
and that's something that, well, I don't remember it, but
right,
you said like you probably put it in the trash because why would you keep that? You were done with the weekend.
right.
And someone kept it and donated it, and
And
now
now,
it's like that's awesome. But
right,
like at the time then it's kind of like why would I keep this? So there's certain things like
Yes. And it really depends on the individual too.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know, that weekend was probably very important to the person that brought that in. It was probably a highlight, um, you know, uh, in her life or his life, so that was important, and keeping that,
Mhm.
it was like a picture of that weekend for
Right.
her. Yeah, and for other people, it was a great weekend. Poof, into the,
Mhm.
I don't need this.
Yeah.
It's just paper. Yeah.
Well, we're actually gonna play a game now.
Oh, oh,
Yes. And we called this keep or get rid of. So we went through the museum and grabbed a couple of items.
okay,
Some have been brought up in discussion before.
okay,
Some have just been, we have questions ourselves
okay.
or attachments ourselves to it. And we're just going to go through. For those, of course, you can't see, so we're going to describe what the items are. But yeah, let's
Okay.
start off. I think, Tay, you have the first item.
An actual ceramic crock. Okay.
Keep or get rid of.
For me, definitely, like, what's the who gave it, or do we have any history on it?
I don't know if we should say the
Mm.
name on the.
It
Well, we
ju-
can just show you
Yes.
the name,
just
but we don't
says
want to
who
air it
it
out
just
on
says
the
who it's
podcast.
donated
Okay.
by.
Okay. Yes. So this person was um I believe born and raised here. So yeah, I would definitely keep it. I do know that we have a large crock collection.
So large that half of them are in storage.
That's right. But my feeling on that is we have a collection. And I know we've looked at, and I'm not sure per se if there's any in the crock, like if there are some that are kind of dubious as to whether they have a connection in Whitewood. But we now are the caretakers of a large collection of crocks. And therefore, I feel, and this is me feeling, that we should keep that large collection because we may be the only museum in Saskatchewan or Western Canada that has that vast of a collection.
Mhm.
And so it becomes important then that we, to me, hold on to all of those crocs and have them available, maybe not all at once, but to have them available that if somebody is researching or, whatever, uh, just haven't has an interest in crocs, that
Right.
they could come and take a look, or they could, yes. So yes, it's a keeper.
All right. So the next one I specifically question a little bit. A glorious, glorious bedpan that I feel very uncomfortable touching, but yes, keep or get rid of.
Okay. Does it have any connection to Whitewood?
Yep. That's a Whitewood name.
Okay. Do we have, and there, see, the name there on it, he was a collector, like he was an antique collector.
Oh yeah.
So it may come from him, but it
Oh,
may
okay.
not have an actual a connection to Whitewood.
Oh, okay.
Um, do we have more bedpans?
Yes,
Do we have a similar one? Like,
it's pink.
but it's
It's
exactly
exactly
the
the same.
same. Now, does it have an actual connection to Whitewood?
Could, don't
We'll
know.
have to look that up.
Yeah. So I would, mind you, this one's blue. Like, this is where I have, trouble. uh, because there again, I guess the thing with this is I know the gentleman was a collector, an antique collector. So I would say if the pink one has uh, a connection to Whitewood, I I would say no to the blue one and yes to the pink one. Okay?
Wow, I thought you were gonna
I
do
know
what
it's very hard. It's very hard for me. I would, if we had lots of room, maybe, and only had the two of them,
Okay.
I
Right.
yeah, I'd be tempted to keep it.
I thought you were gonna
Yeah.
do that picture that you sent out, hanging them in the tree.
Yes. Yes, that's
New
right.
wind chimes.
Yes, new wind chimes, right? I wonder if they sound like a shell when the wind goes into them,
Oh, I was gonna tap it.
Ooh.
Oh no.
Don't blow into them.
Saw how dirty it was, and I was like, dead. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we also have these here at the museum, Eaton's catalogs. So keep or get rid of.
Um, Me, I would definitely keep. It's not. I know that there's probably somewhere that you could get every, you know, a copy, not necessarily a physical copy, but you could go through. But we have that collection, and there's no longer Eaton's here.
Right.
So no, I'd keep it.
Good. I'm glad you said that. I
Ah,
feel very strongly
yeah,
about
yeah.
this. So if you don't know what Eaton's is, check out our YouTube video about Eaton's. Sorry, I always have to do one
Yes,
plug.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
All right. So, this is something again I like. I'm into this. Yeah. Typewriters. We
Okay.
at our museum have
Three,
three.
but we had four when I started.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So, keep or get rid of.
Oh, well, I believe all of them have a connection, do they not?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I would keep.
Keep all three.
Yeah, it's typewriters. I mean, there are kids now that know nothing about
Mhm.
typewriters.
Right.
Uh, and they never took classes we had them in school on how to,
Right.
yeah, so yeah, to get up to, I don't know, was it 65 words a minute or something? I don't know, something. Um, yeah, so no, I would keep them.
Right, and we kept the one in the case because we were actually considering deaccessioning, but we kept it so that kids can just play with it.
And I think that's a good idea. I love to see um, items that can be uh, used,
Interacted with.
interacted with. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, like I know when I saw it for the first time because we had a typewriter on our farm and that's what my grandpa used. And so when I saw it, I was like, and I found out that we could play with it. I was like seeing how fast I could go, and the muscle memory just like came back to me. And then when my grandpa came, he's like, Brooklyn, this is what we had on the farm. I'm like, I know. And so I was very excited about it.
Yeah, yeah.
So with the other typewriter, what was the decision or thought process when deaccessioning that?
I don't think we had any history on it at all. So we just didn't know anything about it. And we had uh three already. And we did have some history on on those. So we decided basically it would have been, we had three, there was no story, nothing, so we put it into the deed.
Yeah. Yeah. And just to talk about why we are saying they have history, the one typewriter was found in the town office basement, I believe, right?
Mhm.
And it had flooded or something, and someone took it home and cleaned it in their bathtub and restored it really nice, actually.
Right.
So that's what we're talking about when we talk about that history.
Tom Hanks collects typewriters.
Oh, maybe. Well, too bad I got the deaccession job.
There you go. Yeah. Well, now you can write Tom Hanks,
Yeah.
because actually there's very few people that know how to fix typewriters.
Right.
And there's a gentleman in Saskatoon that fixes typewriters. Tom Hanks had a typewriter that he was having issues with, and he either sent it to the gentleman or talked to the gentleman and he walked him through fixing it or whatever. Yes. So
That's
there's a
pretty
story.
cool.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what about going back to that very discussion that made the lady uncomfortable?
Uh-huh.
we were at the RCMP display.
Right.
And one of the things that you guys discussed about whether to keep or not was a little red Bible. So keep or get rid of.
Now, I can't remember, was there an inscription in that?
When you open the cover of the Bible, the RCMP logo was there.
To me, keep. It was probably sort of like his joining gift bag, or whatever, like it was probably part of the items that he was given.
Yeah.
I'm thinking
Mhm.
we could look into that a little bit more,
Right.
but it was something that they received. I'm assuming. Now I don't know
Mhm.
all of that history of that, but I am just guessing that it was part of what he got when he joined the RCMP um, uh, years ago. Uh, you know, God and like Bibles were a very important part of
Mhm.
of life in
Right.
general. So it was something that you should have.
Which is
Um,
why we have so many Bibles, actually. We have a whole case just of Bibles,
yes.
and some came from churches,
Hmm.
but others are family Bibles. And it's hard to get rid of family Bibles, especially when there is those inscriptions in them.
Oh yes, yes. Like usually everybody had a family Bible, and that's where you would keep um, the family's history.
Mm-hmm.
So and so was baptized
Yeah.
on this day, so and so married so and so on this day,
Right.
and so died on
Mm-hmm.
this day. And yeah, yeah. So your family history was often connected to a family Bible.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they were pretty important. So yes, I would keep that little Bible.
I am quite sure it is not actually a rock, but yeah.
It's a what? It's
It's
a
a
large rock.
I don't think it is a rock.
If you look at it, it's like kind of hollow. It's really light, and it
looks like
reminds
petrified
me.
something.
It reminds me of like petrified dinosaur poop, but not that old.
See, to me,
Yeah.
it looks like clay that's just hardened.
It looks petrified, doesn't it? You can touch
If
it.
you look at it, there's like
It's not that hard though.
no, and there's like plant like in membrane.
Well, um, I would think that before we get rid of it,
Right. Call us.
can we find out? Yeah, I mean, even yeah, like, do we have biology teachers or any more in school? I don't know. Like,
Yes.
I'm so
Maybe Mr. Pollock or Erica, our librarian, her friend's a geologist.
okay.
So that might be someone to get.
Yes, yes, I would do that. And then once we gather a bit more information other than large rock donated by somebody, I'd 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 find out a little bit more information if it really is a large rock. And I don't believe it is just by looking at it.
So
Um,
if it was, say it was actually just a large rock, even though it really isn't. But say it was, would you keep or get rid of it?
and that like you've looked there's no other information on it. It just says large rock.
Yeah.
Do we have a rock collection?
We have that one rock where the rock is inside the rock.
Right, yeah.
But that's about it. That kind of's just kind of thrown in the agriculture building. And then
I
I guess we have the hammerheads.
Right,
Yeah.
right, which is basically it.
It's a
Separate,
Yeah,
its own
it's very
collection.
separate. Yeah.
I would tend to say de-accession it. By looking at it, it just does not look
It's
like a
not a
rock to
rock.
me. So it would be interesting to find out what it consists of. Like it looks organic, like organic matter or whatever, like petrified poop. Yeah. But that one is something that we maybe should be looking at de-accessioning because we do not have any information on it.
Or we could
Um,
donate it to the school's bio lab.
yes, exactly. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much,
You're
Liz,
welcome.
for joining us today. We always like to end our podcast with words of the day. So, what do you think the word of the day should be?
Hmm. Well, probably because an artifact elicits usually a memory associated with it, I'd say let's go with memories.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.